She's still laughing.
That's so funny. Welcome to 5 Lemons Left. We're the real stuff, the lemons making lemonade. So pucker up, because we're going to be discussing our life's lessons and the nitty-gritty details of our spiritual journeys.
Hey y'all, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Drusilla.
I'm Melissa.
Hello, this is Morgan.
And I'm Penny. Welcome to our podcast today.
Welcome. It is so good to be here. Today we have a beautiful co-host coming on board, and her name is Iyanla. She's going to be talking about hope. And also, we're sad to say that Drusilla and Morgan aren't with us, so we miss them a lot. Yeah. And Iyanla, I'm so looking forward to hearing what you have to say. I know you from, or we all know you from the Power of Love ministry. And I remember our first interaction. You did an activation session with me. And for those who aren't in the Power of Love ministry, it's part of the program. At the beginning of the year, we activate the year ahead. And I remember being so present with you and you walking me through activating next year, that it was just amazing. I could feel the energy then. That was 4-ish years ago. And I'm so happy that I have been able to get to know you and work with you. And I'm going to turn it over to you. Please introduce yourself in whatever way and let us know what you're talking about. Hope.
Hey, thank you, Amanda. And I remember from that activation session at the end, I'm like, I'm getting these intense Mother Earth goddess vibes. Because you hold space with someone and you go with them on a journey to their healed destination. And when you are present, you get a lot. And sometimes, at the end, I'm like, can I share something? Can I share like what I got? And so it's so great to be with all of you guys. I tuned into your podcast and it's so cool. Like, I want to hang out with you. And now I'm like tuned into the podcast. So thank you for doing it. And thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
It was so relaxing. And that's what I look for in a podcast is something, it's like the vibration. You're like, all right, I want to put this on and I'm going to feel good. And I got that. And because also I'm on the inner circle with you guys, I know the work that we do together in the ministry. I also can celebrate you and know that our wins are so huge. And when we get to have them and we get to share them. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring to this is thinking about myself. Like if I was scrolling through a podcast title list and I saw hope for healed relationships or hope for healing, because that would be like clickbait for me, because my journey has been, it's like, I didn't maybe know this, but I've wanted to feel hopeful. I want to feel hopeful that I can find the love that I'm looking for. And I want to know that, ultimately I will know I am the love that I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. And in the process though, as someone who was like, what would you call it? I had a relationship career starting from probably when I was in 6th grade. It was like this thing of like always being in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
And I just seemed to be that person. And it seemed to be like, as I put it together in I don't know when, maybe in my 30s, or like I started to realize that relationships were like my oxygen tank. It was like my mask. It was like, I have someone kind of feeding me, I can live.
Oh, like a codependency type of thing? Or
I mean, later I hated that word and I was like, what is that word? That's going to destroy my whole strategy. That means I don't even want to know what that is. I probably have built a fortress castle dynasty on that thing.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I wanted to point out is that I would be afraid to heal my relationship because then my dynasty is going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
If I heal, the dynasty is going to crumble. My oxygen's removed. I'm dead, basically. Even if I'm not physically dead, I am spiritually, emotionally dead. And that's what I was working with. And, I can remember this being like the start, like the type of thing where I'm in nursery school and I make the really good dinosaur drawing. I still remember getting my first feedback about people liking what I did. And like, I bought into that whole system of like, ooh, that, I think it was like a dopamine hit for me as a kid. It was like, whoa, that feels good. They like me. They like what I do. Okay, let me keep doing that and keep being what they like so I never have to live without that. So this is the start of my career as a people pleaser, probably codependent. Don't want to know what that really means. Addict.
And sometimes Penny just busts out into song. I can't believe she hasn't started looking for love
In all the wrong places. I was thinking it, Melissa. I was thinking it.
You were.
Thank you. Let's create a soundtrack.
Been there, done it. And I just want to say that it was dawning on me, you are such a beautiful person, like your soul, who you bring, how you reflect us to ourselves. And sometimes I just see you as already there or like here, like so healed and gorgeous inside and out. And I forget you had a story. You had you had a place that you came from that you've healed and you've moved through. And I just want to hear more because you've done so much deep work and it is obvious in everything you do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. And what I get excited about is sharing. And I was excited to share like one of my lowest lows because I was thinking that it would be helpful to bring to the table one of the things that we learn in the ministry if we choose, we can learn about the Enneagram. And then when I learned about the Enneagram, the archetypal system of 9 different archetypes, I sometimes call them avatars, but their strategy. And as I already explained, my strategy was like, make people like me.
Yeah.
And so I'm a 2, I'm a helper, and, cautious to say I am this and I'll forever more. But because we're actually the whole system, but I'm currently probably still housed in the 2, the helper. And in my relationships, the way this would play out, especially in my 20s, there's just the lowest moment. And I remember, when you remember, and it's like, I was at work on the weekend at the computer, and my coworker was there. And we were in New Orleans. I have an education background, so I was a teacher in an all boys school in New Orleans, like straight out of college. That was like crash course. Oh yeah, I did my education in Vermont, and now I'm in inner city New Orleans with all boys middle school. Dude, they took me to school so hard.
I bet you did.
They took me to school so hard, so I was in a learning curve there. But meanwhile, I'm in relationship with someone long distance, and I was in the unhealthy too. So you've got your scale of healthy, unhealthy with your Enneagram archetype, right? And so I like to pinpoint maybe my lowest healthy, unhealthy moment was there I was on the weekend writing my boyfriend's essays because I was taking his entire English class for him.
Oh.
And my coworker somehow, I don't even know, I swear our computers were faced opposite. I don't know how she knew. I might have said something. But she was like, what are you doing? And I don't know, because I would have been probably ashamed to say like, And she was like, girl, no. I was like, shoot. But once again, I'm like, don't take down my dynasty, man. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean? I'm doing this right now. And so that's kind of what I would do, things like that. And so me learning not to take other people's college courses, I could probably be arrested. Maybe they don't care. Yeah. And so, that's the kind of thing. I overextended to this way unhealthy place. And they often say that the twos delete themselves out of their own life. You could easily delete your own needs, because I'm thinking I probably had cooler things to do on the weekend to decompress from the kids, But there I was. And fast forward, I marry a man from outside of the country. We choose to come and live together in the country, and he's completely dependent on me in many ways, because his education didn't easily transfer. He can't even work for a few months. Here I am, prime scenario,
Wow.
everything being set up that way. But this is where the hope comes, because I have really done a lot of work. And slowly, whatever it is, codependency, the web of, unhealthy has unwound itself.
Yay.
It's unwound. It's unwinding, but it's way unwound.
So your story being in this school is your unhealthy story, but was there a full bottom? Did you bottom out?
Ugh. Okay. Well, I can remember part of the bottom outs was with that same guy. I dated him for like 6 years. And so one of the bottoms I remember is this feeling of like, if you don't love me, I have zero worth. So my worthiness was so low because I was working so hard to be the spider who traps the man in my web. And it's like, you can't leave and you don't want to leave, And so the bottom, though, I remember, I just remember it set me up to feel so like nothing, because I remember this getting to a place with that guy where we were like kind of having, so I don't remember what the argument was about, but I remember being like literally on the floor, like feeling like I am nothing without him. And he was this guy who was like, and I'll never forget what he said, because his name was Silver. And he was like, silver will always be silver. And he said it in this way, like, no one can take my value. No one can take my worth. I am going where I'm going, with or without you. And that was such a contrast to how I felt. I was like, I can't even get up off the floor.
Wow.
If you won't be with me. And he was like, and I'm like, and that's when that's when your soul is like, sees another way. And you're like, how do I get there?
Yeah.
The hope cracked in.
It cracks in like, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm so intrigued.
So how many years ago was that?
So that was when I was like 23. That was like 20 years ago.
And so what do you think are some of the fundamentals that you healed to be in a place of having a healthy relationship?
Yeah. And so here's 2 decades later, I feel like the clarity that's come is, truly valuing myself and remembering that in masterful living, like maybe it was year 2, just remembering that I began having a real relationship with the Holy Spirit, like communicating, so that, in a moment like that, 20 years before, I might have been able to say, Spirit, help me. But I didn't know that then. So soon turned on the like, Spirit, help me. Spirit, help me move through this. So I no longer was alone on the floor with no future, then became the practice of help me. And then became me actually receiving information. then became me like applying it and feeling like, whoa, there is a system here I can tap into. And that's the beginning. Like, that's like, how do I get up off the floor? How do I get up off the lowest moments? What do I do when I'm at the end of my personality's run out of game? Is like tricks. That was like game changer.
Angela, when did A Course in Miracles and the work that you're doing to listen for the
Yeah.
voice, when did that
Yeah.
all enter into the story? How
Okay.
how long ago was that?
Yeah, the cool thing is I can connect it back to the New Orleans weekend office situation with the like, girl, no.
I love that girl. We all need one of those friends. And
Yeah,
no.
and you're just like, Janice, you got me. Like, because I respect her, and it's like, so she mentioned Iyanla Vanzant to me, and she was reading Iyanla Vanzant's book. I got that book. It changed my life. But again, I remember holding that book like, is there hope for me? Will I be able to attract love? Will I like not be in this desperation game? I remember reading.
Was that? What book was that?
I'll have to look it up. But it's the one where it's like, it's one of her first ones. So I'll get that.
Within the Pieces or something like that? Or
That's a little bit later.
okay.
Early book. Okay, I'm getting closer. Okay.
Yeah. And it's just important, since you said that was such a pivotal thing. I want to know what book it was, and tell me
yeah, it was In the Meantime.
In the Meantime.
And what's the name of the person, the author?
Iyanla Vanzant. So I can, we got that. So I went to, and I ended up like really being turned on to her as a teacher. And I went to a week-long retreat with her at Omega Institute, which was close to where my parents, it's in like the Hudson Valley in New York and close to where I grew up. So I went there for a week in my later 20s. And how she set up the retreat was, she had all of the spiritual texts behind her, like the Quran, the Bible, Course in Miracles. Not sure what other texts, but throughout her week-long retreat, when she was so inspired, she would reach back and see which one Spirit told her to grab it, open it, read it. And at one point, I think she grabbed the course and I was like, what is that? Ooh. So that was like maybe mid-20s. And then once I got in the Peace Corps, I was 28, I had my aunt sent it to me. So I had it with me. It was so weird to like be like out in the middle of the bush in Africa being like, is this what I'm supposed to do? Like the daily lessons, like, I guess I think I'm doing it, And then a couple years later, probably, I don't know, in my early 30s, I was like, okay, I want to have some help reading that. I don't know what I'm doing. Am I doing it? I found Jennifer. And then here I am in the ministry. And that's how I got to the course.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just find that the course itself, I feel like every time I read it, there's hope. It actually fosters hope within me. And I still experience this. I think it's the hope that like, I don't have to struggle. You mean I'm actually, in a sense, doesn't necessarily say it outright, but it's like, do you mean I'm already home with God and this is a dream and I don't have to be afraid, or I don't have to, oh my God, thank God. And I'm still integrating the truth of that into my real day-to-day life. But I just always feel like there is hope every time you tap into the spiritual thought system, And so the whole thing about the course is hope it's just like a hope fest, that thing for me.
Yeah. So now fast forward 20 years after that, how would you explain your relationship with your husband? How have you healed, and how does your relationships, not just with him, but I would assume it's with everybody, right? How
it
are
is
they
with everybody.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have that one like litmus test of like, oh, how are we doing? Because I know how it started. So I was feeling like what I wanted to share with listeners too is that for me, the number one step is to do the worthiness work. And what does that look like? It might be different for everyone, but definitely in the Power of Love ministry, it is a focus. It gets addressed. And because you're clearing the false, you're clearing the false, you're clearing the false. And what's revealed is the magnificent you that's always been there. So I have been doing that for a decade or more. So that's been super helpful. It's like deep cleaning your home for 10 years. It
Yeah.
lays a beautiful foundation for what you want to create. And that's becoming more and more clear to me. So as I did that work, then just recently, it was like very, I don't know when exactly I realized that when I wrote our wedding vows, and I was like, using spiritual principle. I had already been in Masterful Living a few years. So I'm kind of like, okay, I know what this is about. This is about forgiveness. We're coming together to practice forgiveness with each other. And then I'm like feeling good about that. And then years into the marriage, I'm like, all right, let's put some other things in that wedding vows, because I don't want to it's like, then you're constantly just cleaning. I'm like, I don't mind doing the forgiveness, but let's not just, I've set myself up because again, your word is so powerful because your mind is the mind of God. Your word is the word of God. I set up the whole relationship to be forgiveness oriented is a good start. It's not codependent oriented, but forgiveness, great. But then I'm like, something else. I'm ready for something else. What is it? I'm not, I'd like something better. Like I'd like something more evolved. I want some passion and some fun in there.
Yeah.
And write that in. And I love that as a metaphor of like, whatever you're saying, claiming for your own life, make sure you can write it in. You can edit that thing, So inserting some of, some lighter, uplifting energy into that union. So just by the fact that I decided I'd like to add broaden the depth of my relationship, that's when I feel spirit led me to another teacher, which I had shared that Alison Armstrong is someone I was led to as a teacher. And as I got into her work, I'm like, wow, she's very spiritually based. She's very much, a lot of the way she approaches things aligns with my current spiritual study. So I feel good about that. And as I was learning, she offers courses about understanding men, understanding women, creating loving partnership. I'm like, wow, I like this term. I'd like a loving partnership. So I just take it from whatever I had before, which was a codependent cluster F. Sorry, we can laugh right on this show. I don't know
Yes,
what
it is.
prim-
It's called laugh. It is laughing at the
cluster.
title.
To a loving partnership. I'm like, that is the road I've been on. And now I don't know where I am, like in a location wise, but I'm on path because I've been listening to her teachings on understanding men. I have been applying everything.
Ooh, give us an example.
Okay, I can't wait.
Give it to us.
Yeah, because we used to, so you throw in a child. So we have one daughter, and you throw a child into the mix of a mom who's still figuring herself out, and this is life, and a relationship that doesn't necessarily have this beautiful spreadsheet of who's doing everything that's not in harmony yet. So there's been tension, especially in the home, getting things done. I haven't known how to ask for help before. I'm not good at that, really. So one of the things that just has helped, it's like a fundamental or foundational teaching that she offers about men. And again, I don't know if we have to, I think the world is kind of busting the genders wide open. So take this as you wish, but she offers that we have human spirit and human instinct. And then when we're in our sort of human instinct mode, which I kind of relate to, like we're down on earth getting things done. We have two systems, the hunter and the gatherer. And she presents it that way. So I I can now identify that my husband is definitely fits the hunter mode most of the time. And she says that that's mostly true most of the time. And so learning that in the hunter mode, a man is focused like this. And she offers like their brain is set to hunt the deer, hunt the deer, hunt the deer, hunt the deer. But whatever they are committed to, their focus is so intense. And so in the past, I might have been trying to pop in and get him to talk about things, or pop in with my little gatherer attitude, which is open and like, and he'd be like, and so this thing would clash a lot. And now that I'm aware of that, and that when a hunter like enters the home, there's certain sort of basic rituals, routines. They like unload their implements.
Yes, they
Whatever
do.
they do. Okay.
Yes.
So, whatever they are. And a
Yeah.
woman might be like, why is your stuff right at the door? Just bring your stuff in or whatever. So unload the implements. And then there's a transition ritual. My husband always takes a shower. He always goes and takes a shower. He puts on fresh clothes. That's his way of transitioning this, I'm hunting the deer, to I'm home. He needs like a transition period. So now I know that. And the most beautiful thing for me is I have a 5-year-old daughter. So I say, now as I speak to her, it's like me passing on the wisdom, because I'm like, she'll like interact with him. And then I'll say, let's let daddy take a shower. And because I know it's his routine. So I'm like, let's let daddy take a shower and then give him his space. And then he's going to go sit in his chair, and then he's going to be waiting for, the joke I told Amanda one day. I was like, dude, my husband's now a Viking because he's a truck driver. He goes out for the week. He comes home, and literally I'm like the woman in the cave who's got a pot of like bison stew boiling for him. And I'm supposed to like, get out the stew and, present the stew at the right moment. And now I know, like, he's going to sit, I'll bring him food. And then he's still going to be in a focused mode. My husband will then, after eating, go into like TikTok, 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 but he's committed to it, and it's his transition moment. And I don't enter that scene wanting anything from him. Now I know if I would like his committed attention on me, it's to request talk time with him. It's like, I would like about 30 minutes to talk about the weekend plan or whatever. And then we discuss when that will be. And then I will have his attention. And I will never have to, again, interpret that him not looking at me, really listening to me means I am nothing. Right. That's not what it means. It means he's already committed, and I haven't asked him to commit to me. So here I am learning all these things, and I'm practicing, and I'm making so many mistakes, but it's kind of laughable at a time. One day I was like, I don't know, I asked him, I was like, I tried the request for time thing. I'm like, honey, can I have, and she said, never underestimate your time with a man, because if you go over, they'll be mad.
Yeah.
So I was like, can I have 40 minutes to talk about, the dental insurance thing we're looking at? He's like, you want to talk about dental insurance for 40 minutes? I was like, well, you know what I mean? Because I'm still learning, and he's so funny, but it's actually working. A lot of things are working, but mainly I think it's that I'm just taking a step back and willing to say, let me pretend you're from another planet, and I don't know how to respect your process. Let me respect your process, and let me learn how to come to you and how to give you space, and like, let me now dance with you instead of just being mad at you. So it's a big, fun learning experience.
It reminds me of two things. One is acceptance is my answer to everything today. So instead of like coming in the door and you're trying to get in his face and change the situation and look at me and let's do this, you accept the awareness that you know, and then the acceptance. And the second thing is not making all the meaning of why isn't he talking to me? Why is he, all that stuff. It takes all that. I mean, imagine, I was just thinking, imagine you walked in and you start talking to him and he doesn't like it, and it appears that you're bitching at him and it appears that he's ignoring you. This is happening, I think, in a lot of homes.
Yes.
Your gorgeous little daughter is watching this and saying, oh, well, just programming, that's normal. That's normal. In order to get what I want, and in order to do, I have to get at somebody. And it's such a great new role modeling. Imagine her and her life when she grows up and she just allows people to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
How awesome. I want to go to this class. I love this stuff.
I love it.
Yeah. And something also, when you were describing that, it has to be part, I'll just claim my unhealed part was, what are you doing backing down, right? Like that female, like, I won't let a man dictate my life. I can't do that, right? Like that is a slippery slope that I am not going down. And I don't hear that in your description. And I'm having a visceral reaction to, I don't even know what the word is. I'm having a visceral reaction to giving that much space. If you could talk about that, I would love that. If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, this starts with another scenario, which is cooking for my husband, cooking for him.
Yeah.
Because I eat completely differently in many ways than he does. So that used to be such a burden on me. I used to feel so overwhelmed. And he worked in the restaurant business for so long, but he would do that same routine I just described, sit down in his chair and be like, and I'm like, you were just at a restaurant for 12 hours. Could you not make a to-go bag?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And he would often do it or whatever, but it just kind of kept being a clash for us. Like, because under it, I was like, I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And under it was like, I'm drowning.
Yeah.
And if I could take one thing off. So it was like this unspoken thing. And then he'd be frustrated. He's not being provided for. I'm like, then take something of equal weight off me, all this resentment energy. And then it's like, so part of healing that was I did just stop doing what I don't want to do. I stopped. And then it was like, but I'd be like offering things whenever I had them. And for a little bit, I was cooking the way I would cook for myself and giving it to him, and he got mad. So I was like, all right. So what I felt underneath, and now that I've like slowed down, I can feel so many things underneath for him, was just like his desire. Like he really has a desire for someone to provide a meal for him that he would like. And it's like his worth is tied up in receiving that. And once I like calmed, I realized that, because Alison says, be aware of what you can commit to. Her number one thing is honor thyself or all is lost, is her number one. She keeps coming back to it because as she's offering information, people got to take that in. They got to find a way to honor themselves. So not everything is lost, so you wouldn't want to be like just giving out everything or
you're going to build another dynasty.
Yeah.
Your dynasty.
Yeah.
So with the food thing, it just ended up coming into a space where he's gone all week. I swear. I mean, imagine the kind of perfection of spirit at this thing for me. It's like, okay, we cook his food on a Sunday. I'm like, I just calculated this weekend. I'm like, because I want to be aware of what I'm committing to. I'm like, that's about 5 hours in the kitchen for the whole week. So now I'm at a place where I have like awareness of what I'm committing to, because I decided to clear my calendar on the weekend so I could offer this to him. But for example, on my birthday, he cooked all by himself. He didn't say anything, but it was like his gift to me. And it's just like knowing, like, let's say, start with the one thing you feel your partner would feel so respected and loved to receive. And you start there, because I swear, in a relationship like ours, which didn't have a whole lot of beautiful, harmonious partnership exchanges,
Yeah.
having one added in there is like a beautiful place to start. It's like step one, And so now I'm like, I clear my weekend. I'm committed to his laundry and food on the weekend. But then during the week, it's so much lighter for me. I'm not doing it all week. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I just kind of started where the most tension was, and just kind of letting spirit, again, untangle it.
Yeah.
And like slowly commit.
Yeah. And so in this commitment, so how long have you been on this path? Like actively doing this relationship work?
Oh, like maybe not even half, maybe about half of a year, like half a year, 6 months or so.
And how has his personality changed or adapted, or like,
Okay.
how is that?
Okay, here are the hopeful miracles.
Yes.
People,
Mhm.
people, turn it up. Turn up the volume. No, just because I've softened into more of my gatherer mode, because and so I just feel like I'm softened. And the other day we were at the playground with Justine, and Justine the other day we were always in the kitchen anyway, dancing in the kitchen constantly. She was doing this dance with me where she was literally like waist short, but trying to hold a position with me and dip me. And she was so into it. It was so cute. And then we're at the playground and she's like, Mommy, dance with Daddy. And he totally danced with me, and he dipped me, and he laid one right on my lips in public. I'm like, did that happen? Okay. But that is a sign to me that there's an openness. There's some more spaciousness around our relating. He's being funny. And I feel like he feels safer. And I feel like I feel more open. And then we just got to go on a date this past weekend. Things worked out. And again, it was like in the past, I would have been like so afraid because I was so afraid he would not want to go, or be afraid. I would approach it with fear and be like, somehow it would be all staticky. But this time I was like, it's going to happen. It's going to work out. And spirit slowly was like, oh, you guys could go here and then there. And then I'm like, and he was committed to me. I knew it. He was committed to making it happen. I just relaxed the time frame. We went just as I thought. He opened the door for me everywhere. And I was like, okay, thank you. But these like chivalry things, I'm like, I kind of wish there was a book that's like Viking Wife. Maybe that's the book I'll write. Because I think it's like, I don't know. There's lots of sheepskins involved, and I like those for Kundalini yoga. I'm like, I'm going to write a book on the Viking wife, or a TV series.
And I know I'm dominating the questions, but this is so fascinating. So you find that you can soften and be like this without losing who you are. So is it seems like you're not giving up to something. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like giving up being in control, which is exhausting.
It is. And that's scary, to let go of control.
It is. But once you recognize, like in this spiritual journey, once you realize accepting has a better outcome than pushing, allowing is actually more powerful than controlling. So my soul is always helping me find the power position, the ultimate empowered position. And what I find is if, in the partnership, it's like, you got to find, I'm doing this, it's coming, like that yin yang harmony thing. So I know that my soul is helping me navigate it, even in the new waters, because I get these little glimpses of like, hold his hand, and I'll be like, I don't know, I'm like, and it's so crazy. The person you love, the person you were romantic with at some point, then you got something. And like I get these little nudges and I'm like a little bit nervous about it, which is cool. I like that. I like that I'm not yet fully vulnerable with him because I don't know. I like having a little glimpse of like the next move. So what I feel like is it just feels more empowering.
Which is funny.
So that's where I gravitate to.
It sounds like, it doesn't sound, when you're accommodating him, it doesn't sound empowering, but I've done this with my husband. I've had these glimpses with my husband too, where I've just been like so fully accepting of where he is and what he's doing. And I've given more than I was used to giving. And it was so empowering. And I had to remind myself, just because I'm accepting certain behavior doesn't have to mean that I totally like it. Does that make sense? And then
Give an example, Melissa.
Well, I don't know like one example, but I do know there was a time I was kind of working with this, and I would just continue to be where I would usually show up fighting. I would show up like super loving, so like the hold the hand and that kind of thing. And I had to remind myself, just because I'm not fighting doesn't mean that I don't even know that I
Like being
don't
submissive or something.
or like I had to get out of my routine and my fighting and what I do, because I think that that's more empowering. That's what it was. I was thinking I was more empowered when I fought for my right, instead of going, oh, okay, I can fully accept this about my husband or what he wants to do and let that in and give to that. That ended up being more empowering than fighting for my right. And it's nothing, abusive or terrible. It's just me wanting to do my thing and him wanting to do his thing. So I understand that, but I've only had little teeny glimpses of it. But it is when I decide to be fully accepting and just be loving.
One example I have for that is because one of the other main teachings she offers, and it's for both man and woman, and that's why she's trying to be on each side saying, this is the gatherer operating system. This is the hunter operating system. It's much like in the course where it's like, it's grounds for separation, festival, because they're different. And one of the things my husband has done in the past that bothered me, that I have a new approach with, is it seemed like he would yell at me, or he'd yell. And I'd be like, oh, geez. And I'd take all that and I'd be like, no one gets to yell at me, right? Like, no one gets to yell at me. You don't get to yell at me or something. But just, I would have that reaction. And then she taught, okay, people, testosterone, here we go. Deeper, louder, hard, intense. And men, when they're resting, are building testosterone. Actually, they have to build it. They use it up so fast because they work hard. They need a lot of rest time to build it. That was really important to know. But he will sometimes have a loud voice. And then my daughter will just cry. She'll just be like, cry immediately. And the estrogen in women makes us very sensitive. And so that opposite thing, and women can feel like, you don't get to yell at me, you don't get to overpower me. I'm not, and now I'm like, he's not yelling at me, is in my head. He doesn't think he's yelling. Because every time I've ever said, are you mad? He's like, I'm not mad. I'm like, don't know what to do with this. But now it's another case of like, I have in my mind an awareness. So when I tell my daughter and she comes crying to me, because that was a big thing. We spend a lot of time together. We're like steeped in the estrogen. And then the testosterone comes home and we're like, he's yelling at us. Okay. But then she'd come to me and I'd be like, Daddy's not mad. Daddy has a deep, powerful voice. He's not mad at you, but you can tell him, Daddy, it feels like you're yelling at me, or it seems like. So they still use the seems word.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like. And I love that I'm teaching her this because I'm like,
Yeah.
because she doesn't have to be crushed by every man,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and now I realize men don't be like, what if curiosity moment, they don't want to crush us. And
Right.
I think Allison's premise is like, if we can understand each other, literally her premise is, if we come to understanding, we can solve the world's problems. Now, we in the course are like, there's no world, there's no problems. But it's like in my home, to me, the bottom line is innocence. What if he's innocent? What if he's not trying to ever crush me? What if he really loves me? So I think my word for 2024 is innocence, because it brings hope when you are willing to apply. And that's why it's like, she says, like, what if there's a good reason for that? And she is encouraging partners to approach each other and say things like, I know you have a really good reason for doing that. I'm just not super clear what it is. Can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Life changing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that you said 20, since when this is going to air, it's going to be around the new year. So I love that you say your word for the year is innocence.
Yeah, because I'd like to kind of play in the Course in Miracles and like look at where it's mentioned and like
Mm-hmm.
really draw out that concept. Because as a parent as well, knowing your child is innocently having a meltdown, which is kind of dampening the moment, but like coming from things like everyone is innocent,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh. So we are coming towards the end of our time. Penny, you
Not a lot of laughing, too serious. What did I do? I didn't do it.
No, we laughed a lot. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I know the listeners are out there laughing because they're like, me too.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're probably like, but just don't be afraid if it's you. It can be healed. Okay. Because I used to be like, afraid of being in a messy thing that wasn't yet healed. And it's like, don't be afraid. It'll be healed in appropriate time.
Yeah.
Just put on your seatbelt. You're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Buckle up, right?
Buckle up. Perhaps put on a helmet.
hmm Some protective gear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So any final
Yeah.
questions for Angela? No.
No, really powerful awareness that you brought up today, Angela. I think I intuitively know everything that you're talking about, and I don't always take action on it because I get caught up in my own triggers.
Mhm.
And so it's really a beautiful way to look at it, the hunter and gatherer. Yeah.
So Angela, if someone tell us so I know that you're a spiritual counselor, and if someone were to want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Yes. Well, so I also work for the ministry, but I do offer one-on-one spiritual counseling.
Mhm.
My email is angela@jenniferhadley.com.
Mhm.
And at that email, I can talk about spiritual counseling or anything, questions related to the ministry offerings as well. I don't currently have a website. Just as a stay-at-home mom, I couldn't commit that much to that. And I know
Yeah.
I'm practicing my commitments, but I can make time for people. So angela@jenniferhadley.com is the best email address at
Mhm.
this.
Yeah. And this is the time of year, Masterful Living, where we all met. Could you take just a couple? How long have you been with the ministry? What year did you join the ministry?
Yeah, in 2020, 2013, I took Masterful Living. I took Masterful Living for about 6 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then moved into the spiritual counseling, the prayer practitioner. I kind of took everything and moved into being more on staff as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, Masterful Living 2024, we're so excited. The beauty of being in this community, it's hard to make it an elevator pitch, but I just feel like this is going to be my 11th or 12th year. I feel the expansion. It's ever expanding. It's not a stagnant place to be. Jennifer Hadley is constantly evolving and growing and sharing it all with us and taking us all with her. I always see it like this purple sparkle bus, and she's driving it. And she probably has like beautiful clothing on, and people get on and she's got like a plume pen with a feather, and she checks you in and you get on the bus and you've got amazing people. You're going to have good music. If it's Jennifer, you're going to have good food. Like, you're well taken care of. You're in amazing company, and you're not stuck out on the side of the road by yourself, like hitching a ride,
Mm-hmm.
like going where we're all going anyway, in style, fully supported and inspired, like beyond your dreams. And you're accepted for who you are. You're loved completely. It's like, I'm not getting off that bus for a long time. I don't know, unless there's like some other jet that calls to me, maybe the Viking show. Fine. I'm staying on this bus because I like
Mhm.
where it takes me. It feels very good. It's comfortable. There I am. So Masterful Living 2024 is the new thing on the side of the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a seat for you, buddy. There's a seat.
Thank you.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm in. I'm signed up for Masterful Living 2024.
And if it's not Masterful Living, there are a lot of other programs, and you still get to be on the
Yep.
bus.
Yeah.
And I want
Yeah.
to say the thing about the ministry, the Power of Love ministry, is that it's non-denominational. A lot of people have come together around A Course in Miracles, but there are people in our various spiritual groups that are Course in Miracles is Christian based, but there are Jewish friends of ours that are reading Course in Miracles. There are people from other denominations. There are people that don't do anything with the Course in Miracles, and they really focus on the community or certain classes that Jennifer's teaching. So it's for everyone.
Mhm.
And like you said, I just love that. Like, why do it alone? Get on the
Yeah.
bus.
The purple
Mhm.
bus.
The purple bus with a purple plume. I love it. I can totally see that.
Right?
Me too.
So Penny, do you have any Post-its for us?
Well, I've got a bunch, but I'm only going to show two. So ACIM, or A Course in Miracles, equals hope. That was the
Yes.
first thing that you said. And then I really love what you quoted Alison Armstrong as saying, honor thyself or all is lost. I think that's
love that.
really a beautiful thing to keep in mind as we go about this. So yeah, thank you, Angela, for all of your beautiful sharing today. It was really, really powerful. And yeah, it's got me thinking about, Yeah, so with that, I just want to again thank everyone for listening in today. It's been another powerful time together with beautiful Angela. Thank you, Angela, for being our guest. And We always enjoy when guests come because you just open us up, expand us a little bit more into topics that we might not have even been aware of. Like I did not know about Alison Armstrong. So that's just awesome that I get to look into that. And of course, you can find us on all the social media platforms, Instagram and Facebook, I believe, are the two that we're on. We're 5 Lemons Laughing, 5 FIVE, Lemons Laughing. And we just wish you all just a beautiful rest of 2023. And as you usher in 2024, I love Angela's word is innocence this year. And maybe in our next episode, we'll all share our word for 2024 as we enter into this new beautiful, I like to say we're roaring into 2024. With a roar, we're into 2024, something like that. So thanks, everyone, and have a beautiful rest of your day.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.